So the first question here, pretty straightforward. Simply takes 1.2, divide by 16, multiply it by 100, then you should get 7.5%. Whereby for question 2, I extracted y from both of the variables. Hence, inside the bracket, the remainder will be 5 minus 6p. Question 3, pretty straightforward as well. Simply key it into your calculator. Then you should get the answer as 4.01 after rounding up to 3 significant figures. Question 4. Keyword here is equilateral triangle. Okay, and the rounding value you're required to calculate from nearest centimeter. So nearest centimeter is 1 divided by 2. You should get your rounding value as plus minus 0.5. And for you to find the upper bound for this equilateral triangle parameter, simply takes 15.5 multiplied by 3. Then you should get your answer as 46.5. Whereby for question 5, the volume of a cuboid is 180 cm cubed. The base is a square. Okay, so the giveaway for this question is the keyword square here. So for you to find the height, simply takes 6 times 6 times height equals to 180. After the calculation, your height here should be 5. For question 6a, okay, the things that I did was to take 21 minus it by 7. Okay, since their base is the same, divide translate into minus. So the balance should be t to the power of 14, whereby for the section B, okay, since there's a bracket over there, then your power will be multiplied to each other. So for u to the power of 5 multiplied by 5 should be u to the power of 25. For you to calculate question 7, okay, axiom is actually the opposite of the 35 degree, and your hypotenuse is actually 12. So by using sine 35 equals to x divided by 12, shift it to the other side, okay, then you should get your answer as 6.88. Question 8, okay. First thing that I noticed was they are using the circle theorem, whereby angle at the circumference is half the value from the center. So I identified the major sector of AOC is actually 260, and the minor sector here will actually be 100, because 360 minus 260. So the keyword of this question is actually obtuse. Okay, since they didn't mention about major or minor, so you need to understand what does obtuse mean. Obtuse angle basically means more than 90 degree and then less than 180. So your angle AOC, they're referring to the minor sector, which is 100 degree. Question 9, recurring decimal. So I identified where's the dot located at. It's actually above the 7. So x equals to 0.47777. Then I set another variable, that is 10x, equals to 4.7777. So the difference of this, okay, 10x minus x will get you 9x, and the balance should be 4.3. So I take 4.3 divided by 9. I get the fraction format as 43 over 90. Whereby for question 10, I simply substitute the value of 1 minus x. into the function given, then I should get 2 bracket 1 minus x plus 3. After the calculation, your final answer should be 5 minus 2x. Question 11. So keyword here is without replacement, and they wanted both number to be even number. So there's two scenarios whereby you selected 2 followed by 4, and when you selected 4 followed by 2. So the respective probability should be 1 over 5 times 1 over 4 plus 1 over 5 times 1 over 4. So the results is actually 2 over 20. After I simplify it, I get 1 over 10. Question 12. Multiple of 7. Okay, for this one, the answer is very straightforward. It's 28. A cube number is actually 27. And prime numbers are numbers that can only be divided by itself and 1. So inside this set of numbers given, there's 29 and 31. You just choose one of them and fill up the blank. Okay, question 13. There's two ways to solving this. Okay, the easier ways to get the answer will actually be the first method that I've shown. I first expand the x plus a square, okay? Then I categorize them into one group. One with x squared, one with x variables, one with no x variable. So the 2ax is being compared to the positive 4x over there. And after the calculation, you should get your a as 2. Whereby for the remainder of a squared plus b, it was being compared to the negative 9. So after the calculation, your b would actually be negative 13. Okay, second method on the other hand actually required you to have very good understanding on the completing the square concept. Okay, first thing that I identify immediately is the positive 4x equals to 2ax. Okay, it's very similar with your first method. Okay, and you will get your a as 2. Whereby for the other part of the working, you should know that since that you have added a square into it, you are required to minus it back out. Okay, so your b would actually be the negative 9, the integer value on the left hand side, minus a squared. So you will get your b as negative 13. Question 14, without using a calculator, I first changed their denominator as 18. So I took 5 multiplied by 3 and the 2 I multiplied by 6. So after the calculation, I get 27 over 18. Okay, I divide 9 for both of them. I get 3 over 2 and I translate it into a mixed number, which is 1 over 2. Question 15. Okay, simply expand it and run the calculation. You should get 3x squared minus 3x plus 2. Question 16. The keyword here is inversely proportional. Okay, so the other thing is the square root over there. So y equals to k over square root x plus 1. So this is the information given by the question. Let's substitute that x equals to 8 and y equals to 2 to identify k's value. Okay, So the square root 9 actually translates into plus minus 3. So your case value can be positive 6, can be negative 6. Okay, so let's substitute and find y when x is 99. So there's two answers that we have gotten will be plus 0.6 or negative 0.6. Question 17a, okay, pretty straightforward. This is actually using the formula a square minus b square. So your answers would actually be p plus q and p minus q. Okay, same thing, I transform the part b's p square minus q square into p plus q, p minus q, and it is equals to 7. Sub in the value that was given, okay, p minus q is 2. So I shift the 2 to the other side, then I get my p plus q as 7 over 2. Question 18 in this topic. First thing that I did was to transform 81 into 3 to the power of 4. Okay, then I multiply the powers in. Okay, then you will get 3 to the power of 4 multiplied by 3 over 4. Y to the power of 16 multiplied by 3 over 4. So after the calculation, you actually get 27 y to the power of 12. For part B, okay, key thing here is how you treat the 4 value over there. So 2 to the power of 3, I didn't change anything to it, whereby I transform the 4 into 2 to the power of 2 bracket p. So since there's a bracket there, now the power will actually multiply to each other. So my 2 to the power of 3 equals to 2 to the power of 2p. So I just compare the power itself since the base is the same already. So p's value will actually be 3 over 2. Question 19. Okay, key things to take note is they give you a scale factor over there. They didn't mention anything about it. Okay, it's always 1 cm compared to 20 cm. So I run the calculation and change the cm into meter first. So my 20 cm would actually be 1 over 5 meter, and 1 cm cube would actually be 1 over 5 times 1 over 5 times 1 over 5, which is 1 over 125. So they ask the volume of the actual car is actually 12 meter cube. So I take the 12 meter cube divide by 1 over 125. You should get the answer in cubic centimeters as 1500. Question 20. Okay, first thing that I did was to change their denominator into the same. So the 1 was being multiplied to 3x minus 1, whereby for the negative 2 it was being multiplied to x plus 2. So after the calculation, the numerator balance will actually be x minus 5, and the denominator will be x plus 2, 3x minus 1. Question 21. So the question actually asks for the angle between VA and the base. Okay, and the hidden information here would actually be the square base. So what does a square base means? That if I were to draw a line, okay, from AB's midpoint joined to M, the length would actually be 4, and AB to the line is another 4. So with these two, we can use Pythagoras theorem to find AM's value as square root 4 squared plus 4 squared, which is square root 23. So after we have gotten AM's value, okay, we can now construct another triangle to calculate the angle. So the triangle should be referring to the region of VAM. Okay, VM value is 10, AM is square root 32. And for you to run the calculation, I use a tangent. Angle VAM equals to 10 over 30 square root 32. So after I run the calculation, you should get the value as 60.5. For question 22a, okay, this is actually the basic sequences, which is called arithmetic sequence. So to find the next term, simply find the common difference here. So the common difference of the term will actually be positive 3. So for you to find the next term, simply takes 14 plus 3, which is 17. And for you to construct the nth term, first thing you need to know is the zero term. So by working backwards, you're required to take the first term, which is 5, minus it by 3, then you will get 2. So the n term sequence would go by 2 plus 3n. For question B, okay, so this is slightly tricky, but if you look closely, okay, the denominator is actually a constant difference of positive 2, whereby for the numerator, the difference is actually the even numbers. So plus 2, plus 4, plus 6, plus 8. So for you to find the fifth term, simply takes 21 plus 10, and the denominator, which is 10 plus 2. So your final value, 31 over 12. Question 23, I won't do any voiceover for this part, okay, because the matrix calculation has been included and it is pretty straightforward. Okay, so you can just refer to my working and get this question sorted out. Question 24, this is a speed time graph. Okay, to find the deceleration between 60 and 70 seconds. Okay, so this one, simply find the gradient. Okay, after you run the calculation, you actually get -2. So since they already mentioned about the acceleration, then you don't have to include the negative over there. So your final answer, 2 meter second square. Part B, find the distance traveled by car during the 70 seconds. Okay, this part simply calculate the area itself. You should get the answer as 1,300 meters. Moving on to question 25. Okay, as usual, before I proceed to the calculation, I always fill out all the variables that I possibly could. So by looking at the information, CK equals to 2KB. Okay, I know that CK is actually 2 over 3 of CB, and KB is actually 1 over 3 of CB. So CB value is actually same as OA because they are parallelogram. So your CK's value will be 2 over 3P and KB as 1 over 3P. The other one that's interesting is AL equals to LB. Okay, this one, things you need to know is OC equals to AB because of parallelogram. So your AL would actually be half of Q and your LB would be the other half of Q. Okay, so with this information, we can now find KL. KL would actually be KB plus BL. KB is 1 over 3P, and your BL would actually be negative half Q. So with that being said, we can now fill up the information. Km would actually be half of KL, and ML would actually be the other half of KL. So for you to find the position vector of M, okay, simply takes the OC plus CK plus KM, run the calculation, then you get the results as 3 over 4Q plus 5 over 6P. Last question, 26. Okay, so things to take note, always when you want to construct the equation of a line, you need two things, which is the gradient and also the y-intercept. So the gradient here, run the calculation, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You should get your gradient as 2. Whereby for the y-intercept is that actually given by the question, which is the point 0, negative 3. So the C would actually be negative 3. So fill up the blank, y equals 2x minus 3 will be your equation of line L. Okay, part B, find the equation of the line that is perpendicular to line L and passes through the point 0, 2. So the 0, 2 here is the same thing, it is the new y-intercept, okay, in disguise. So the keyword here, perpendicular, so you need to know that m of the gradient of the original line multiplied by gradient of the new line would equals to negative 1. So our original line here will actually Our original gradient is 2, so by shifting it to the other side, we will get the gradient of the new line as negative 1 over 2. So sub in the information, then we should get your gradient, your equation as y equals to negative 1 over 2x plus 2. So thank you for watching. I hope you find this video helpful. Okay, this set itself is actually the easiest among May June 2019. The hardest set is set 23. Okay, feel free to check that out if you haven't do so. Thank you for watching. I wish you all the best for your upcoming examination.